Imagine this, a single satellite, just one of thousands, winks out of existence 260 miles above our heads. You might think, okay, a minor glitch in a huge system, no big deal. But what if I told you that this one falling star reveals the single biggest challenge we're facing in orbit today? This is a case study in our increasingly crowded skies.
So it really begs the question, right? What actually happens when a satellite breaks up there? It's not just about one piece of tech going kaput. No, it's about the whole chain reaction it kicks off and what's becoming a really, really crowded neighborhood.
Okay, so let's get specific. Let's talk about the satellite at the heart of this story. Starlink 35956. Yeah, just one satellite in a fleet of thousands. But its final few days, they give us a perfect peek into the new reality of operating in space.
So picture this. It's December 17th, 2025. You're looking at a patch of sky about 260 miles up. Pretty empty, right? Well, that's where, all of a sudden, things went sideways for this one particular satellite.
So what in the world went wrong? I mean, how does a super advanced piece of technology just break? Let's break down this high-tech failure piece by piece, using what we know for sure. You know, the first sign that something was off? Just silence. At that 418-kilometer altitude, Starlink's mission control suddenly lost all communication with the vehicle. It was officially off the grid, gone.
And then came the big one, the main event. Its propulsion tank just starts venting its contents into the vacuum of space. Now that tells you something major has gone wrong, like a rupture or some other kind of serious damage to its maneuvering system.
And of course, that has an immediate consequence, right? This venting wasn't some clean, neat process. Nope, it coughed out a small cloud of new objects into orbit. And let me tell you, even a few little pieces of junk up there can cause a massive headache for everyone else.
Now, we don't even have to guess about this stuff. Starlink themselves came out and confirmed it. They said the anomaly led to venting of the propulsion tank, a rapid decay in semi-major axis by about 4 kilometers, and the release of a small number of trackable low relative velocity objects. If you translate that from engineering speak, it basically means it broke, it started falling fast, and it threw off some shrapnel.
Okay, so you've got a broken, tumbling satellite shedding pieces up there. The first question on everyone's mind has to be, uh-oh, is this dangerous for us down here? So let's take a look at the immediate damage report. Luckily, the immediate risk was pretty low. The satellite was tumbling, yeah, but it was mostly in one piece. And the most important thing, its new, lower orbit was way below the International Space Station. So no risk to the astronauts, which is great news. The whole thing was expected to just burn up on re-entry within a few weeks. So bullet dodged. For now. But this is exactly where the story gets bigger. This isn't just about one satellite anymore. Now we have to zoom out and look at the real problem here, our unbelievably crowded skies. Just wrap your head around this number for a second. At the time this happened, SpaceX had something like 9,300 active Starlink satellites in orbit. 9,300. That is a mind-boggling number of objects to keep track of, and it's only going up. And to really put that into perspective, check this out. If you look at all the active satellites orbiting Earth right now, from every company, every country, SpaceX's Starlink fleet accounts for about 65% of them. That's almost 2/3 of every working spacecraft up there, all managed by one company. Wow. Okay, so when you're responsible for that much hardware in space, you better have a good plan for when things go wrong. And they do. So let's take a look at SpaceX's safety playbook for how they manage the world's biggest satellite constellation. They've basically got this 3-step strategy to try and keep space clean. First, they design these things with a pretty short 5-year lifespan. Second, they plan to bring them down on purpose before they have a chance to fail. And third, and this is the really cool part, each satellite has its own autonomous collision avoidance system. It can literally dodge incoming traffic all by itself. And believe me, that system is working overtime. In just the first half of 2025, the Starlink fleet had to make 145,000 evasive maneuvers. That's insane! It works out to an average of 4 dodges per satellite every single month. This isn't some rare emergency. It's a constant, high-stakes dance happening over our heads. But here's the thing, and this is the real kicker. The failure of this one satellite, and even those hundreds of thousands of near misses, that's not actually the biggest danger. The real threat up there isn't just about a piece of hardware breaking down. It's something way bigger and a lot harder to fix. And this is really the heart of the issue. You've got two different scenarios playing out. On one hand, you have an operator like SpaceX doing everything they can. They've got autonomous avoidance, they share their tracking data, they plan to deorbit their stuff. But on the other hand, you have this huge uncoordinated risk from other operators who don't. They don't give a heads up about close calls, they don't coordinate their paths. And that lack of teamwork puts everybody at a much higher risk of a collision. And hey, you don't have to take my word for it. Michael Nichols, who's the VP of Starlink engineering over at SpaceX, he hit the nail on the head. He said most of the risk of operating in space comes from the lack of coordination between satellite operators. This needs to change. See, the problem isn't just the tech. It's that there are no universal rules of the road up there. Which all brings us to this one final massive question. We're launching thousands upon thousands more satellites. Companies and countries all over the world are joining in. So as our skies get more and more jammed, who is the air traffic controller for space? Who's in charge? Right now, the answer is nobody. And that is the real problem.